Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rivalz podcast, the podcast where two friends who are fans of rival teams talk about sports. We're your hosts, Drew and Noah, and today we're back. It's been a long time, but we're back and ready for season 2 of Rivalz podcast. So, looking at our schedule.
Yeah, last episode we did was a preview for the NBA Finals. And now since it's new season for basketball and football, we'll be doing that. And keeping you up to date.
Right.
So, best way to kick it off is to do our first ranking of our power rankings for the NFL. And we'll just touch up on it. But we have... Well, no, you take it away first.
So, we obviously have at number 1, we have the only undefeated team in the NFL. As of right now, we have the Arizona Cardinals. And at 2, we have the Bills, and just a close second. Just because of, record-wise, they just yesterday lost to the Titans. Because Derrick Henry's a beast. And then...
over 170
yards.
And 3 touchdowns, yeah.
So,
that's great. And then we have... Rounding out the top 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who are a surprise team, and I think they're a contender. Their defense is legit.
We'll talk about them a little bit more later in our next segments. But after that, we have the LA Rams. After trading Goff for Stafford, proved to be a very, very good decision. Not that Goff was bad, but Stafford has brought a lot of veteran leadership to this team, and they're really flying high right now. So, and lastly, to round out the top 5, we have the Chargers, who are a bit of a surprise team. I don't think anybody expected them to do this well, but
and until this week,
they
were
until
great.
This week.
Justin Herbert has his stats are up, his yardage already. He's a fourth of the way through what he had last year, and that's through 7 weeks. And then he only has a 7-to-2 touchdown interception ratio, which is really good. He's had a great year. They beat the Chiefs, so they definitely round out our top 5.
We'll briefly skim through. We have the Packers in 6. A couple more names. We have the Titans climbing. Before this week, maybe they would have been a lot lower, but after beating the Bills, proving, they're at number 9. We've got the Bengals, pretty surprise team this year, at number 10, because, they've had some close matchups with some really good teams, beaten some pretty good teams also. The Kansas City Chiefs, way lower than expected this year, at 13.
And you'd think they'd be a top 5, but they've dropped.
We'll
We've
talk
dropped them
about
all the way
them
down
as
to 13
well.
because, and it's mainly because of their defense. But right before them, we even have the Steelers, who
best team in the NFL record-wise last year. Having a little bit of a drop-off season, but still doing decent.
See what's going
Round
forward.
out top 16.
And at the bottom. Instead of rounding out, you know what we do? We go to the bottom because we got the Lions and the Jaguars.
The Lions and the Jags.
And both these teams are just
now,
it's a
I
joke
say,
at this point
said,
because
I tried to convince Drew to say that the Lions were the 31st, even though they haven't won a game. But they have put up a hard fight against a lot of good teams, and I think that deserves some credit.
True. But even then, the energy is just not there with either of those teams.
They've been robbed so many times. The Vikings, my favorite team, made a game-winning kick for once. Justin Tucker literally broke a record just to beat the
Lions.
So and then you can read it out if you want. Pause the video if you'd like to see. But that'll be the power rankings right now. Now let's talk about a team that has really underperformed. After losing in the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we have the Chiefs, who right now are at a
14-2
stance.
Yeah, they went from 14-2 last year. We're rolling. where after losing to the Raiders early on, won every game until week 17. Looked great, dominated the playoffs, reached the Super Bowl, lost, but we thought it was maybe a fluke just because their offensive line and Mahomes' toe was hurt. And then you get to this year, and their defense has proven to be below the ranks of every other team in the NFL. They're struggling mightily. When you allow 20-plus points to every team you play, it's not great.
And Mahomes has already thrown 7 picks this year, which is like a super high number, which doesn't sound that bad since we're through 6 weeks, but like it's Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. This is supposed to be one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in football. But
yeah, I mean, if you just throw, it's basically if you throw out statistics down late 20s for defensive ranking, most rush yards allowed in the last few weeks. It goes on and on. The Chiefs they can't stop anyone, and you're relying on Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and even your offensive line to score 40 points. It's just not. You can't run that way. Like, you're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. But like going forward, next few weeks, a couple weeks, they play the Packers. They just played the Bills. Like, their schedule doesn't get easier.
And if they're gonna need to improve their record, they're gonna have to prove that they can beat these. I mean, they've been losing to some mid-level teams, and they have to prove that they can beat the top-tier teams in the league if they want to get back into this playoff picture, get back into the Super Bowl Chiefs that we all know. And reminiscing on that Super Bowl Chiefs, if you look at last year, comparing it to this year, it's 14-2. They've already lost more games than they did in an entire season last year. They've actually tied the most games, all the games that they've lost in the entire playoffs, including.
And that's their 6 weeks. Like, they're on pace to lose 8-9 games. That it won't be a playoff team at that
right
point.
now.
But going forward, once again, their schedule just doesn't get easier. You play teams like the Titans this week, who are coming off a massive win against the Bills, who we ranked pretty highly in our power rankings. You play in a couple weeks, they play the Packers. Then you play the Cowboys a couple weeks later. And then you got a few weeks off where it's just a couple mediocre teams. But then you get to the Chargers, you get the Steelers, Bengals, all teams who are competitive this year. So looking forward, I expect maybe more competitive football. Offensively, despite their defense being horrible, their offense, I will give them credit. Andy Reid's a great coach, and Patrick Mahomes has led them well. But he can't be the whole offense. I don't blame him for throwing those picks or even losing some games, because your defense is also horrible.
And another thing with Mahomes is, earlier when he was an MVP, when he was, when he won the Super Bowl, stuff like that. He'd have those plays where roll out of the pocket, throw on the run, throw a 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill on the run. But the problem is, for some reason during these years, he's been worse at protecting of game sense, of knowing when to throw a ball, when to not throw it like a crazy ball. And I've seen a lot of memes talking about how Mahomes just says, screw it, Tyreek Hill's there somewhere. And it's kind of what it looks like when you watch him play this year. He's just been kind of heaving it.
Yeah.
Seeing if, someone can make a play.
Yeah, and he gets it 50-60% of the time, completions on those. But it's not like you're 6-0 like the Cardinals. You're 3-3.
He's got to be playing a lot more safe if he wants to get that, Because, right now, they're the worst in their division, believe it or not. They're behind the Broncos, they're behind the Chargers, and who's that last team? Raiders, yeah.
Raiders. Yeah. And you can't roll like this, because if your offense, with Mahomes and Hill and their offensive line, it had some big pickups and rookie signings, you can't, have your defense be horrible and then have your team have to score once again 40 points. It's just not manageable.
No.
So, I hope to see the Chiefs move on like productively. I do expect them to make the playoffs, but they're risking it.
So now,
in these last couple
moving
weeks.
on from a team that's underperforming, let's talk about a team that's overperforming, or some would say.
The Baltimore Ravens have impressed. I don't think they've unimpressed anyone. Because
they've been consistent.
They're Lamar's MVP season. He's not just a running back.
He's been a lot of the things you'd see in his MVP season. Right now, he's been making the smarter decisions. Like if he has an open lane, but for a first down, but he's only like 20 yards away from a touchdown, he's gonna try and find a way to throw that ball instead of just automatically thinking I've got to run this. And he's gotten smarter that way, and it's really helping them win games. Along with this, just the Baltimore defense as well has been pretty good this year.
Defense has been. I personally think their defense is the best in football. Still, even if it's not statistically, like the impact, they just beat the Chargers by 28. They didn't do that just because of their offense, because the Chargers only scored 6 points.
Yeah, it's the only thing
I don't
is
know.
their only loss is really a very close. If you watch the Raiders game, it was a very close Raiders game in Week 1. But after that, they've just been, like I said, soaring right here. I mean, they've blown people out of the water.
They're averaging just above 2 sacks a game, which is crazy because of the teams they've played. Other than the Chiefs, they played the Chargers, whose O-line is really good. Then they've played the Lions, whose O-line is surprisingly good. Just teams like that, and they're getting to the quarterback, sacking. But mainly before we go over to the offensive side, Lamar and Marcus Brown and all them, defense. Marlon Humphrey is a sneaky, like, really good corner.
He's one of those under the radar guys who a lot of people underestimate how good he is.
When you're thinking of corners, you're thinking Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander. You're thinking guys like that, or even just anyone like that. And then you're forgetting about Marlon Humphrey, who has been a Pro Bowler the last few years. He forces fumbles.
He always takes the best guy on the other player's team. His contribution to the Ravens defense is crazy. Like it's pretty mind blowing. But and a lot of people thought this Ravens team wouldn't be very good because of the injuries that they were facing. For example, at running back, they had to pick up some new running backs.
They have no running backs at this point, and then Latavius Murray's balled out in the last few weeks, and young guys. So, and just more on the defensive side, they are picking pickups like Justin Houston. He's been solid for them. Patrick Queen in his second year, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. He's becoming a star. And their defense, their corners, I would be shocked if this team doesn't make a run in the playoffs.
This is a pretty big Super Bowl contender right now. So.
Yeah. Now, more on the offensive side before we wrap things up. We got Mark Andrews. I think he might be behind Kelsey and even Darren Waller, he's struggled a little bit in the last few weeks, although despite the Raiders' controversy with their team. I think Mark Andrews is a top 3 tight end in football. Because if you look at his stats, he had a quarterback who didn't, like Lamar, last year, he was like non-existent as a passer. And every pass, if you look at all Lamar Jackson touchdowns the last 2-3 years, Mark Andrews is like 50% of them. So, Ravens are they're a great team right now. And
they're set right now on pace to probably they have a good chance at winning the AFC, and yeah, just competing with some of those teams like the Bills, Chargers, guys like those. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Season 2. Thank you all for watching. We're back. We're all back. And we'll be back. New upload schedule, by the way. We're going to be posting, well, maybe today we might 2 to 3 times a week. Usually around weekend and maybe like after the football games slate. So, yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Popping up on screen right now. Most recent video up top. Here's our Season 1 playlist. And, yeah, thanks for watching and subscribe. See ya.